Someone shot the food.
Good evening, nerds and nerdettes. It is Labor Day, Monday, September the 7th, 2020. Almost forgot what year it is. That is, considering the year, that would have been a little awkward. Anyway, welcome everybody to Mr. Video Game Live Super Show Live, as brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment. Everybody say, yeah, we're all in the house today. Well, I mean, mostly. Anyway, I'm Slacker Kite. I push buttons, make video, go boom, and put article on screen. It's good to have everybody here, and of course, returning today, we have Brian, aka Wonder Boy. How's it going, Brian?
I don't think anyone would have faulted you if you had forgotten what year it was, because I think every single person wants to forget what year it is. I am doing okay. I am doing well. I am glad to be back on the show. I'm glad to be doing the show, especially on, well, maybe not especially on Labor Day, fellow comrades. But no, like I'm excited. It hasn't been a very high newsworthy week, but we got some fun stuff over the week to chat about, um, which is nice. I will say I spent part of my weekend watching my two worlds collide in the best way,
Well,
because if, as you know, I uh, love professional wrestling, and
no.
Travis, exactly, and Travis, you love Jim Sterling, correct?
Yeah.
Jim Sterling was on a wrestling show that I watched this weekend, MV Young's Polycult Party 2,
Ooh.
streamed live on Twitch. If you want to check out the VOD, is twitch.tv/go professional wrestling. Watch it after this show, not during this show. Stay for our show. But no, it was rad. Jim Sterling was there. He was the ring announcer, the MC, and just Sterling being Sterling, along with a good 2.5 to 3 hours of just awesome queer as fuck wrestling.
Yeah.
And it was great. Yeah, so that was the rad thing for the weekend. Other than that, I have been lazy. I look, my boss at Outsports told me, like, hey, shut up and take a break. So that's what I did. Friday through today, I have just been I've hung out with some friends. I have but outside of, I played a lot of Magic and board games, but other than that, I've just been conked, just dead out. Nothing. I haven't touched anything on my computer outside of checking Twitter every once in a while and doing fantasy football drafts. So it's been a nice break, and I get back to all of it tomorrow.
Hey, John
Hooray!
Pie, how's you doing, buddy? Yeah, I can't really say that I've been overwhelmingly productive over this long weekend. I might have spent more time than I'd like to talk about on the couch watching Tiny Toon Adventures.
Yo, not a bad way to spend an afternoon.
I was a little bit concerned because, in the middle of one of the episodes, there's a spousal abuse joke, and it's like, oh, we did that in the '90s, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did a lot of things in the '90s.
Yeah, Mike Tyson Robin Givens joke. That was kind of this floated, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of what actually floats, though, I also went to a drive-in movie theater, a thing that is surprisingly necessary in the year of our Lord 2020 here in the United States of America. Whereas China gets to go see movies in theaters like good boys, we get to sit outside in our cars because we have sinned.
Not through any fault of our own.
No, well, not our
Right.
fault directly, but us as a collective. If you
It's
want,
not like there was a seminal news story that came out in the past 24 hours that points to the carelessness that this country has if you didn't want to look directly at the COVID panic.
no, there totally hasn't been a whole lot of great news over the last week about the troops and COVID handling and all that good stuff. That's totally fake news, by the way.
Just stop having gender reveal parties. God damn it. Just stop,
God.
all right?
I saw one tweet that more people have died now from a gender reveal party than Antifa, and part of me ascended to heaven at that statement.
Yep.
Yeah, Giant Pie, that is a large number. COVID is currently the number one killer in America, so that's cool. It's whatever. But hey, let's talk about funner things. No, I said funner things, and I have to actually wash my mouth out because I watched New Mutants over the weekend at the drive-in. I have never been offended by a movie wasting its talent and energy as much as this movie did. It set up so many interesting plot threads and did nothing with it. It's a good idea. It's a superhero horror movie. That's cool. That's a nice idea. They set up all of these characters that could have been interesting with some brilliant fucking actors. Except the nurse, that's kind of like a bag of hot water. But regardless, it was a cool idea. And I don't know where on the cutting room floor they left those good ideas, because they're not in the movie anymore, that's for sure.
Well, how familiar are you with the development cycle of the New Mutants?
I am not. Hollis tried to inform me as after we watched the movie on our 30-minute drive home.
Mm-hmm. Let's just say I used to work for a superhero comics media website, and right around the time whenever New Mutants was getting shot, let's just say that whatever status it came out in was going to be a train wreck regardless. Like whenever you were already planning reshoots for your movie that was supposed to come out last year, that was shot 2 to 3 years ago, and then you had to cancel the reshoots because of COVID and then still put the movie out.
Good lord. Yeah, I'm not mad at them for putting the movies out, because, like, you needed money.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, this film, they didn't even know if it was going to actually be released at all because of the Disney purchase of 20th Century Fox. So, like, I'm surprised that this thing even was put into a theater. I thought they were just going to dump it VOD and just be like, whatever, do something. I mean, it's made a somewhat. I don't know what the budget was for the film. I don't have that information in front of me at the moment, but I know that so far it's made $20 million worldwide.
Yeah, it's not bad given the current climate, finger quotes, and from what I understand, it's done all right for itself. But yeah, if you're not already a fan of the New Mutants, I can't say I recommend seeing this movie. I completely checked out of the movie once Slenderman made his way in. Slenderman with a really creepy mask. That's, I'm not going to say where, how, or why he happens to wander into the movie, but I'm going to tell you, it's completely moot to the whole storyline, because it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Not at fucking all, but what does matter is I did finally get the fucking time to play a little bit of Control.
Oh,
I was very
odd.
happy that Alan Wake blends in actually rather well. It actually, his presence kind of explains a couple of things that happened in Control already so far.
Hmm.
He actually works as if you've played Control before, a lot of the time you're basically being narrated by the former director over the hotline, because the former director, is kind of dead. That's not a spoiler. That happens in the first 10 minutes, so. Um, yeah. So instead of that, now we're getting Alan Wake, because apparently he wrote a movie or a TV script about us. So we're
Oh,
in his TV script currently. And
interesting.
I won't tell you how or where it plays out, but him and the motel and the janitor, they all have a lot to do with each other, and that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I also
Alan,
love. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I love that Control, in order to, like, expand the story, all you really have to do is, hey, there's another floor of the building you haven't been to before. How did the floor get there? There's a new button on the elevator. How'd the elevator button get there? Magic. And that works perfectly within the way the story is structured.
Alan Wake needs to stop writing stuff. I think that's just the takeaway from everything that I've seen about this so far. Is just like the first Alan Wake game was like all with him like being stuck in this this little like bay town, like just fucking writing coming to eat him alive, and just Alan Wake, take a break, just chill.
Yeah, everything time he writes, he makes the story worse for himself. I'll fix it by writing my way out of it. And then he makes his life somehow worse. And then he says, I'll write my way out of it. And then he makes it somewhat worse. Well, I can't, without going into, spoilers, I can't really blame him for this one.
Hmm.
It is not his idea to be writing currently, let's say. So,
I see. Okay.
anywho, shall we
Real
get?
quick,
Yeah.
just to update on New Mutants. The budget for that film was $67 million. That thing is a fucking
Oh,
flop.
holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh, I should mention to our audience, by the way, Lady Marilyn will be joining us for the next several episodes at the least. She gets off work about 8 o'clock. So she has to be able to have the time to transition over, and sometimes, you ever worked a customer service job, customer service sometimes runs late. She'll be with us. And tomorrow, if all goes well, at this time, we will be playing a game of Fall Guys together. Myself, Brian, and Lady Marilyn, all at the same time. And finally, there is a opinion poll on my Twitter to ask, how do you guys want our Tuesday shows to go? Do you want Tuesday shows in the first place? Do you want just the history of the world? Do you want history of the world and us playing video games? Do you want history world and a book club? Up to you guys. Give us your thoughts. I would really appreciate it. That way we know what needs to be done. Any shit. Let's get to the nose. Mario is 35, and there's a lot of really... The stories of what it released isn't nearly as interesting as the question marks to the caveats in this. And we'll get to those as we go through this listing. But there was a new Nintendo Direct on, I believe it was last Tuesday morning, that gave us a whole bunch of new stuff in order to celebrate Mario's 35th. We've all already been aware of the Lego Marios. That shit's already out there. It's fun. I recommend playing with it. But anyway, the top of it came with a new Game & Watch is coming out, featuring Super Mario Brothers on the handheld. The original Mario Brothers, the Lost Levels / Mario 2, depending upon your country, and as well a Mario-themed Game & Watch title. I'm not going to lie, this is the one that interests me the most. I also expect it to sell out in about 5 seconds.
I would not be surprised either.
There is just so much Nintendo like history in this, crammed into a cute tiny box. It's going to sell, and it's going to sell fast because that's how Nintendo do. They're a toy developer, so yeah, it's all limited edition, and that's going to be the word of the day, boys and girls. Say it with me. Limited edition.
Yeah, like I love that a majority of the things that they put out were like had that caveat like, available until March 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and of course the collective why?
Like the Mario 3D All-Stars. Kind of a neat idea. It's Mario 64, Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, so your premier titles on the Nintendo 64, GameCube, and Wii for Mario, all delightful games. You're not getting Galaxy 2 on this or anything along those lines, and you're getting, as far as I can tell, the original Mario 64 without all of the quality of life experience updates for Mario 64. You are getting a widescreen version of each of these games with HD textures, but it's still the same games.
Real quick, before we move off of 3D All-Stars, I don't know if that's what you're doing. I just two things. One, I don't think anyone has ever referred to Super Mario Sunshine as a premier title before, so that, I guess. And two, I'm very curious as to why Galaxy 2 was left out of this. I assume it's probably going to get its own package re-release at some point or remastered down the line. But it is interesting that they left that one out of this. If you're looking at 3D All-Stars, like Galaxy 2 is definitely in that realm. So I don't know. I haven't really gotten much traction on trying to like find out why that has happened, but it was just a curious omission, especially considering that Galaxy 2 did not come up anywhere else in this direct at all. Like 35 years of Mario is not highlighting one of the like best 3D Mario games ever made.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy 2 is beloved, especially Yoshi was such a huge part of it and played ridiculously well. Probably the best iteration of Yoshi other than maybe Yoshi's Island in the series.
Yeah, and also, that's another thing. Also, by the way, I think we now know where Nintendo stands on the canon of Mario games because Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, not anywhere, not even in like the mass pictures of all of the covers of all of the Mario games. Did you see that game anywhere there? So apparently, in Nintendo's mind, not canonical.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you start to find out where Nintendo's priorities are with our dear brown-headed, black-mustachioed plumber here. And the name of the game today is Limited Edition because you can get it starting September the 18th and until March the 31st. That includes digital, yes. You can't buy it again after March the 31st. I've read a few opinion pieces that this is likely because Nintendo is a little bit worried, like they capped so high on sales at the beginning of this year, between Animal Crossing and other things, that they may be trying to COVID prevention themselves and, hey guys, it's a limited edition thing, get on it now before it's gone.
Well, that makes sense in some ways, especially when you look at that expiration date, because what happens on March 31st? What happens at like the day after March 31st? The financial year ends.
That's correct. I actually forgot about that one.
Exactly. They want this limited edition push, like buy it now because it's going to be gone forever, but probably not really. But it's going to be gone forever if you don't buy it now. So buy it now before we have to send our quarterly numbers to our investors and we can show how much money we did in the COVID.
Yeah,
Especially since we don't have any major first party titles coming out before the end of the year.
yeah, that one's really weird to me. That right now it is not looking great for first party Nintendo titles, but they do still have time to announce, a holiday shebang-a-bang potentially. So I'm hoping something else comes from them because, boy, Microsoft and Sony have been pretty thin-lipped, which we'll get to that as well. That's God, it's more what they are not talking about rather than what they are talking about that makes today interesting. But yeah, I don't know myself. I'm a little hard pressed for this one, right? Like, I have the Mario 64 on DS if I ever want to play it, and I think that version's better anyway. Mario Sunshine, I hated. And Mario Galaxy I have on Wii. So, like, meh.
Yeah. Now, see, like, I'm pretty sure I still have my Mario 64, like Nintendo 64 cartridge somewhere, so I could pop that in if I wanted to. Sunshine, that's a game that, like, yeah, I like tossed it aside very quickly when it first came out, but like, I don't know, I might give it. I would if like this bundle might give me an excuse to give it another shot and
Mm.
see if my feelings have changed. Because like a lot of my opinions on a lot of different game styles and a lot of other games have changed over the years as well. Um, and Galaxy was something that I never really got to touch because I did not have a Wii for a
Ooh.
long time of that console's lifespan. So I don't know, like this really, honestly, I think that this is a no-brainer in terms of the actual product.
Hmm.
It's just that time scale, that time span that they're putting this on to try and like church up this sort of like oh god, I always harp about this word until I'm on this show and then I cannot remember the word. Um, manufactured scarcity.
Yeah.
That's a lot of this is just speaks to that. Like, cause this would be a great product and you could easily keep selling this
Hmm.
further down the line. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, they want to
I,
shore up their year numbers. That's.
yeah.
Meanwhile, I just have trouble with this, right? Like, none of these games are rare by any means. They didn't add anything to them. They didn't include Galaxy 2. And it's a $60 bundle for these three games. Don't get me wrong. Each of these games are, you know, it's a little harder to say for Sunshine, but Mario 64 and Galaxy were groundbreaking for their times, and Sunshine exists.
Yeah.
By the way, welcome back to the show, Marilyn. How are you doing?
Oh, peachy.
Hooray.
It was great. Um, so much fun. Really sweet caller at the end of my shift, and it was just awesome.
Aw.
But yeah, hi.
We're just talking about the Mario and the limited edition deals that we can get today. Next item is the Mario Kart game that is actually a fucking Mario Kart. That one's kind of fascinating to me. They don't have an exact date on this one, but it's an AR experience. You actually have a little Mario Kart cart that can physically zoom around wherever you are, and you can lay out little maps that the cart can go dash around you. It is so fucking adorable.
Now,
Good.
sorry, this is an actual like very inventive idea, and I really like this. I hope that they're able to execute this well enough. I'm very curious at who they're partnering with for the AR stuff that's going to be utilized in this.
Mhm.
Because like outside of Pokemon Go, like Nintendo hasn't really had that much of a relationship with AR. But even then, they passed that off to Niantic.
Yeah.
You know, because Niantic is like they are the AR games company right now, and honestly for a while. So like, I'm curious like who they're working with on this. honestly, it would not surprise me if they are like in some kind of discussion with Niantic about it
Mm-hmm.
in some way. But I don't know, like the idea of like being able to build your own courses in your living room
Mm-hmm.
in the way that they were showing in the video, like if you could execute that well, that is it's the best way to express like Nintendo's imagination that they have expressed for the past like 100 years of it. Like
This
it's
is the
perfect.
most Nintendo thing that came out of this whole presentation. Like, Nintendo loves to experiment with weird shit, weird add-ons, little pieces of plastic that you'll never fucking use again and will go rot in a chest somewhere. And this is one of those, like, you're not going to be mad that you bought it. Like, I'm not mad that I bought the Donkey Kong bongos. But hey, they were only good for like a game or two, and then toss them out. What's the next funky piece of stuff that you're going to sell me, Nintendo? I mean, hell, I've got 3 different Labo things actually, including the VR goggles. So yeah, they know their market for weird gamey shit.
I mean, really, I'm thrilled to see the fact that AR is becoming more common because it is such an incredible technology and it has so many applications, and so seeing it break in more and more into like the mainstream is just, I'm finally getting the future of my dreams. Um and they've done some incredible stuff. Like I want to see this game do well. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. And I mean, like, if they wanted to, they could even add in an element of programming where you can set it up so that way it'll run autonomously as well.
Yeah, and they've got like local multiplayer as well. So if you have 2 carts, you can race against each other. There's just so many neat little ideas bundled into this. I don't think I saw a date or a cost. I'm sure if there was one, Pi would probably know, but I don't think I saw anything on that. But it's a cool idea. I want to keep my eyes out. And if it's not, $200 or some crap, I'm probably in.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. Like, I would so set this up for multiplayer with you, man.
If the border thing is allowed, that's I don't think you guys want Americans in Canada right now.
No, and I saw an article where apparently like over 118,000 people have been turned away from the border.
Good night. All right, our next part of it, Mario 3D World. This is a fucking no-brainer. Mario 3D World was probably the last game from the Wii U that hadn't been ported to the Switch that people wanted. That's now coming to the Switch. And they're adding something called Bowser's Fury yet. We don't really have a whole lot of details on what this addition to the game is. But Mario 3D World was already such a huge game in the first place that already, I'd honestly say it's already worth picking up for your Switch if you missed out on the Wii U, like virtually everybody. And hey, it comes out the day after my birthday, so yeah, that's coming.
Real quick, going back to the Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, that launches on October 16th.
Ooh.
They are
Ooh.
selling a Mario set and a Luigi set. Both are priced at $99.99.
No shit.
Oh,
All
Yes.
right, going to get me a Luigi.
and with the thing coming out like right before your birthday, that's not a subtle hint there, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. A little subtle hint on that whatsoever. But yeah, thinking about just back up to the Mario Kart thing real quick. Boy, that's going to be an easy one for them to be like, hey, we made a Peach cart. We made a Boo cart. $40, boys. Come on, get it.
Oh, it's got
Oh my
legs.
god. It's gonna be the amiibos all over again.
Ooh, you're not wrong. All right, and another really interesting one to me. Yet again, it is limited time, but Mario Battle Royale will be coming out, I
Yes.
believe, next month.
Yes.
35-player Battle Royale Mario. If you kill enemies on your screen, you send them to opposing player screen, and your goal is to get to the end of each level and not be removed, eradicated, or killed by the Goombas or the Spikies or what have you from the original Marios.
This is fucking me. This is all. As soon as I saw this pop up, I'm like, no. Like all I saw was like Super Mario Bros. 35, and I'm like, no, they're not gonna. And then they did. This is so good. This is so perfect. I cannot wait to give this a shot. Because like this idea is spot on perfect. This is one of the main reasons. This idea is one of the main reasons why I got so excited about Fall Guys whenever it debuted at E3 a couple years ago, because this idea of taking the battle royale format and putting it into different game types is infinitely interesting to me. We saw this with Tetris 99.
Mm-hmm.
They're now doing, and they're releasing Super Mario Bros. 35 in a similar way. I think it's available for free to Nintendo Online users
Yes.
whenever it does launch. So, yeah, I love this idea. I'm very curious to see if they can pull this off, because the idea of like killing enemies and sending them to other screens and having platforming levels where you can impact other people and that sort of thing is very intriguing, and is a huge drawing card for me to this game. But they have to stick the landing. And I think that, Tetris 99 did it pretty well. I know a lot of talk about that game kind of dropped off fairly quickly after it came out, but it did what it promised it would do, to a pretty satisfying degree. So I'm very interested in trying this out.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm going to be trying it out. I recognize that I am not the greatest Mario player that's ever existed, so I look forward to having my ass stomped in by a legion of 13-year-olds, and that's fine. That's going to be my life for a couple of nights, because I am sure as fuck going to play this. And yeah, the fact that it's, 35 players, that sounds about right for the number of people you wanted this in the first place. So, major kudos to Nintendo for putting out a fucking killer idea with this one. And like you said, another reason to get that Nintendo Online. It sure as fuck isn't playing any Nintendo games on the internet.
Yeah. And it goes live October 1st. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of the stuff that you can get if you are Nintendo Online, Super Mario All-Stars will be coming back. Now, I believe the original Mario is the only one from the Mario All-Stars pack that is not actually on the online service. I might be wrong on that, but also every game in the All-Stars pack is modified to have different physics, different looks, different feels. So it's a cool addition. Most of the games in the pack are already on the Switch, so this isn't a huge one, but hey, it's nice to give us. But how about some more of that SNES hype?
The one cool thing about this is that they enhanced all of the graphics in all of the games, so now they're all at 16-bit.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember if the original SNES cart
it did.
that it came on. Yeah, okay. I didn't know if they up-res there. Okay. Then yeah, not much has changed. Same thing. Still great games, but yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little weak considering most of it's already out there, but still, a lot of people have a lot of fondness for the All-Stars pack, so, cool. And I believe that's about it. There's some other collectible items you can pick up. There's like Mario Kart Tour shit that's coming out on Animal Crossing. A lot of games are going back and forth with each other with items from each other, and there's some Pumas that you can buy. But yeah, if you want Super Mario Jenga, Monopoly, some action figures, That's all coming out at various times this fall, so you can get all of the fucking Mario swag you could ever want in your life, especially if you go to that Nintendo World Shop in New York, New York.
Yeah, I mean, also with the outstanding stuff from this like batch of extras that's coming out is the fact that they're adding Super Mario themed furniture to Animal Crossing New Horizons. Which, you know, Animal Crossing, I'm sure there are plenty of people that'll eat that up. And then they're bringing back the Splatoon 2 Splatfest one last time for a Super Mario themed Splatfest.
Oh
in
yeah, I
January
forgot that
2021.
Splatfest was totally done at this point.
Yeah, they stopped doing those. I want to say like last year, or yeah, like late last year. So they're bringing back the Splatfest one last time to celebrate Mario.
Yeah, and there's, they do continue to add random additions to Smash Brothers, and I mean, they still have 4 more characters in that party pack, Battle Pass, whatever the hell they call it for that, where there's another 4 characters out of 5 that's going to come. I can't even remember what the first one was on the list, so that tells you how hype I was at the time, but... All right, let's move to one of their competitors, of course. So you would think, boy, there must be some, like, Series S thing that must be coming out. Of course, Microsoft hasn't announced it yet. But it really sure does look like there's a Series S that's a smaller Series X without a disk drive.
This is like one of the worst kept secrets in all of video games.
Yeah, because you can now just buy the controllers we've mentioned before directly from Microsoft that specifically mention the Series X/S on it. So that's out of the world. And let's throw another party into the mix, because they have a cross promotion with Pringles coming out. Oh, Forbes, can you not with the full screen? Thank you. And check it out. Not only do they mention that there is an Xbox Series S, but they also mention that the estimated value is at 621,000 R whatever South Africa's monetary thing is, which roughly translates the idea of around 650 US, which, yeah, probably means probably 5 to 600. Now, of course, they may be just guessing on this. They may not actually officially know, but there you go. This is just a whole series of weird shit out there that, boy, if they're trying to be sneaky, they they are fucking it up real hardcore.
Well, of course. I mean, what's a better way to draw more hype to something than to not mention it outright?
Even more so, don't mention it outright, just keep leaking stuff and keep putting it on products that you're currently selling so that people know it's still coming, but they're just like, why won't you talk about it?
Yeah, this shit's all coming in 2 months. We still don't know the price, what sort of availability it is. Like, anything, you guys? Like, I know that most of the specs, the details, the consoles, how they look has already been leaked, but we don't even know what the Series S is going to look like. They haven't even officially said the Series S. We just know from all of the other advertising surrounding this. It is, when are you going to tell us? This is bizarre, and I'm going to say this every fucking week. The blue balls are killing literally all of us because we want to make sure we can kind of plan our financials for the year.
I mean, really, this is a really crappy year to have console releases, but
You're not wrong. Speaking of remnants of a crappy year, so we all know that Halo Infinite now has been delayed until at the very least next year. But they had deals already out there on the board. So, man, Microsoft is pairing with everybody. Like, Pringles and Monster, I guess they do know their audience, but you can bank a 30-minute double XP boost in Halo Infinite if you buy Monster Energy brand cans of And yeah, despite the fact that there is no game for this marketing campaign that yet officially exists, hang on to those cans, boys, because they're worth 30 minutes of double experience.
The question is there a limit to how many times these codes can be redeemed, like per account? Because this is just asking for lawsuits as people actually cause their hearts to explode from overconsumption of Monster.
Oh, Microsoft has done cross promotions with Monsters so many fucking times now that I wouldn't even worry about it at this point. It's kind of a known thing that if Microsoft puts out a new large piece of hardware or software, that there's going to be some form of Monster Energy promotion. And I guess throw Hideo Kojima into that mix too, but yeah, it seems bizarre, the idea that there will be cans of Monster telling you to buy Halo Infinite when Halo Infinite is on an indefinite hiatus.
Yeah, this is kind of a mess.
You're not kidding. It seems like if you call your product Infinite or Forever or anything along those lines, you have just doomed yourself to not have a release date.
Well, like, look at Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah. Hopefully we see Halo Infinite come out sometime this next year, and all the Kyles with all of their copies of Monster just sitting around with that double XP experience code can finally cash in and get their sweet, sweet double experience.
On the upside in PvP, because they're all going to be so hopped up on Monster, they're not going to be able to aim for shit.
Good, because maybe they'll actually be on my playing field for once. Not that I plan on actually playing Halo Infinite, just still, I can first shoot my way out of a paper bag. Hey, let's slam right in that awkward train. The Joe Biden-Harris campaign. By the way, do vote for Joe Biden and Harris. I'm not saying don't you fucking dare. I'm not saying they're great people, but anyway, Biden campaign. They're putting out yard signs for you to put in your Animal Crossing, so you too on your island can support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on your island. And have some of those cool Joe Biden aviators.
Ugh. Just okay. Like it's not a bad idea. You know, I don't know how well people are going to embrace it per se, but it's not a bad idea, especially as a campaign tool.
Yeah.
I am curious though, what the response has been so far since these have been live for about a week now, because of the ability to customize items in the game. I'm very curious to see if people have been expressing themselves in other ways towards people who are posting these signs on their island.
It's a legitimate question. I would love to know if anybody out there has seen political signs at all in Animal Crossing. I'd love to hear about it, because this is so fucking bizarre to me that Twitch and Animal Crossing and whatnot are now heavily embedded for things in the political sphere. Yeah, like Kelverin, AOC has been involved in various Twitch-related things and Animal Crossing-related things. So this is, kind of a sign of the future, and I'm not like it's a bad sign or anything. This is fine. It's fine, but it feels not fine for reasons I can't specify.
Well, see, that's the thing is like that the AOC comment from Kelv is exactly why they did this and exactly why I'm curious to the response of it, because AOC's participation in like things like H Bomber Guy's stream, what is it, like last year,
Mm.
or um, you know, putting out there on Twitter that she plays Animal Crossing and wants people to suggest islands for her to visit. Like these are very organic things for someone. Like I don't want to be ageist or anything here, but of AOC's generation,
Mhm.
and how AOC's fresh perspective speaks to different generations in that way. I mean, AOC, not to delve into too much like political commentary here, but AOC represents a revamped vision for what the Democratic Party should represent.
Mhm.
And Biden and Kamala Harris are not all the way there. I would say like I go back and watch how many fucking like never Trumper Republicans were at the DNC, and thumbs up, God.
Mm.
Anyway, so you like it's just it's this feels like the Democratic Party trying to latch on to something that it's more what they see as the more outlying areas of their party, in terms of the progressive agenda, have been putting out there organically. Like this is stuff that AOC, it just feels right whenever AOC does, because like this is stuff that AOC probably would still be doing. I cannot think in my head, I cannot imagine in my brain that Joe Biden has ever touched a Nintendo Switch ever. I could be wrong.
He may
I
have
could
like signed one for somebody somewhere.
It's possible, but it reeks of like this is straight up campaigning. This is
Mhm.
just a campaign act. It doesn't have that organicness that AOC brought with her participation in gaming worlds, um, whether it be political or otherwise. It just and like I said, it's a smart idea because you're still putting like getting visibility on your campaign, so getting visibility on your candidates. But it's just it just doesn't feel genuine to people that are part of those worlds. And granted, Animal Crossing has a decent like audience or player base rather,
Mm.
that might not engage with a ton of other video games, outside of Animal Crossing,
Mm.
especially considering like the circumstances with COVID, where a lot of people jumped onto that franchise that hadn't really touched it before. So, like, yeah, there's probably plenty of people out there that don't play a ton of games, and Animal Crossing is one of their major things, and they'll respond differently than people who are more ingrained in this culture. And like, not, I don't want to. I kind of sound like I'm like advocating for gatekeeping here. I'm not. It's
Mm.
just that. It's just that. Whenever Biden and Harris put this out there, it doesn't carry the same weight whenever AOC does. It doesn't carry the same purpose or the same spirit in that way. Yes, smart idea for the Biden campaign to do, but doesn't really like speak to anyone outside of giving them something else to put on their eye.
Yeah, it's so bizarre coming from two people that are so far outside of it, but if of any game that is super safe, it's Animal Crossing. It is just squeaky fun times that you can't really put a whole lot of negativity towards. It's everybody has fun in Animal Crossing, and you bring joy to others, and that's what Animal Crossing's about. So, hey, tie your name to that makes a lot of sense. It's not one of my favorite things in the world to say about today, but some campaigner had a whiz-bang idea, and maybe this will get one or two more votes out there, so...
Yeah, It's definitely possible. I also love the fact that they're doing this in a game that is ostensibly just the cutest capitalism simulator that is available on the market. Because Tom Nook can get fucked.
Yeah, as much as a friend of the show would love to argue on that fact, Tom Nook is just super capitalist. That's and I mean, so is Joe Biden. So yay!
Tom Nook does not care about eviction suspensions. Where's my bells?
Boy, this awkward train is just gonna keep going today. God, I love Daniel Ahmed. He reports on some of the weirdest shit. Tencent and Tim Hortons are going to be working together to build esports themed coffee shops.
Why?
I was about to say, where's our Canadian correspondent?
I mean, okay. I'm probably the worst Canadian on the planet in that I am not the biggest fan of Timmy's, but Timmy's isn't really Canadian anymore anyway. They're American and Brazilian. And McDonald's has better coffee now. But like, of all the people, or like of all the companies for them to partner with, why Tencent? Like, are they going to make it so this is a Canadian only launch because Tencent's not going to be allowed in the US? Like, why?
It is bizarre. You would think Tim Hortons would like be, or not Tim Hortons. You think Tencent would be branding themselves with maybe Caribou Coffee. I don't think Starbucks really gives a shit about the esports thing, but they're going to open 1,500 new Tim Hortons.
Yes, and that goes to explain the reason why they're partnering with Tencent, because all of these stores are planned for China.
Oh.
All of these stores are planned to open in China. It's basically a revamped idea of the internet cafe.
I miss internet cafes. Like, I really do. There was a great one where I grew up, but still, why?
You're exporting your Canadian culture to China now. They can get a taste of better than mediocre donuts.
Yeah, because, you know, like, we would love for the entire world to become Canadian. We're never going to, like, aggressively enforce this. We're just going to insert ourselves into every country, whether you like it or not.
Is this how Canadians declare war?
No. If we declare war, you will hear the thunderous crashing of the beavers using their tails, followed by the bellows of the war moose.
All right. That's spot on.
Perfect. All right. And just let's finish out the odd train going on here. This one a little bit less odd, to be honest with you. Shinmu is getting an anime. What it's about, what it's based on, we don't really know, but there's some decent names out there on this. Like, the director worked on the season 2 of One Punch Man, which was okay. Yeah, it's a 13 series episode, 13 series season. Brought to you by Crunchyroll and Adult Swim. So it will be happening at some point. I don't know how many Shinmu people out there really wanted an anime that bad, but maybe this will cover some more of the stuff that I know the director of the game really wanted to have several more Shinmu games. So maybe it'll cover some of the story he couldn't put in, or maybe a retelling of the original.
Shinmu is already anime. The game is already an anime.
But now this is a zero effort one where you don't have to do anything except sit on your ass and watch.
So is playing Shinmu.
Like literally, like most of that game is like outside of like it's literally just sit on your ass and watch or quick time events.
Oh.
I don't
I
know. Like that's at least like Shenmue 1. I don't have much experience with Shenmue 2. So or
I've
3.
tried to play Shinmu. It is just walking around and talking to people, and I am bored out of my ass every time I've tried. And I know Shinmu fans are all about it. It's like this big world that you actually live in, and I do not care. I couldn't be made to give a fuck about Shinmu.
I mean, like I said, the game is already an anime in how you in the way in like the way that I experienced playing it. I don't. I'm also. I'm. This is not for me
Mhm.
at all. I am not a Shenmue guy. So if the Shenmue fans want an anime, and I'm sure that they do, because if you're rabid enough to throw $6 million at a game that's going to come out 18 years after the last one, cool. That's fine. Have your anime. It's not gonna hurt me or anything. It's just it's just bewildering to me to think that they would try and make an anime series out of this game whenever it already feels like one in playing it.
Maybe that's why like the people who love it so much, because finally they can play an anime, and they love their animes. And I don't think any of us are real anime nerds here, so
I mean, maybe it's just the games drag so hard. They really do.
I can't say anything. I played the original Dot Hack series, and boy, if you want to talk about a game that drags.
You are right. Game that drags.
Whereas I really liked Dot Hack Sign, the actual anime series. I've never actually played any of the games.
Don't. That's my recommendation to you. It is a whole lot of repeating the exact same actions in the places that look like the exact same thing. They did kind of fix it in their second series of Dot Hack games. It's a little bit more fun to play, a little bit more dynamic in its way that you play it. But the story is not as good. So,
Oh,
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
that's depressing because, like, I have this thing with series that I watch, and it's usually like sci-fi or fantasy where they'll show this place,
Mm.
and I want to explore it more than the series actually does.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's a game based on that series, bonus, because then I get to explore. But I mean, they had the anime had such a vibrant world, and now you're telling me the games were all.
Oh, it's the games had the first series of games had a great story that you had to just burn your way through repetitive dungeons to get to. That's my best description of it, because you're going to be spending all of your time data trading all of these things that you don't want to, so you can get to the end of the dungeon so you can activate the cutscene you actually wanted to see. And there's like 5 types of dungeons that are randomly built. So by randomly built, I mean it's the same concept, but yeah. You've got these rooms that interconnect. Go between the rooms and fight these enemies. Anywho, we're going to start getting into some talk about the Avengers here. The game has, of course, finally released, so we can see what it's all about. And we're going to start off with what a lot of people have been talking about in regards to the Avengers, the microtransactions. I'm going to say out front, I am not horribly bothered by the microtransactions at play here. I don't think they're a great look, but I'm not fucked over them. Basically, what these microtransactions do is each character has a certain set of different outfits and modifications you can do to the characters. None of them affect gameplay, but it's like $5 or $10, I forget, to get all of those for a specific character. As well, there is currency you can find throughout the game that you could use to buy these parts for the characters piecemeal. So you have multiple ways to go about doing it, and from what everyone has said, if you really get into the game, you're going to probably get enough money to buy all of the things that you want in game without having to go out of your way to buy it. Um, but yeah, it is a lot of money that you could potentially spend if you wanted to have all of your characters decked out, and there's going to be more characters coming. You'd be spending an awful lot of money on top of your already existing money is to deck out all of your good boys and girls and make them the way that you want to. So it is in some ways kind of predatory on the fact that if you are the kind of person that really wants to stand out and you're, going to need to, as you play this, be able to play different characters when you're in the multiplayer. And you'll probably want to put your best foot forward by having decent looking gear. Yeah, it's a little cringy, but to me, it doesn't go to the point of being awful. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
So my main complaint with the way they've structured this all out, because like if you look at it compared to other games as a service models that have implemented battle pass style stuff, like it's not terribly invasive in the way that it does its thing, and it's not necessarily, I don't know if we really want to get into the affordability of stuff, but I mean, like, I don't know, like I don't know if I wanted to drop like $10 for a legendary emote or anything like that personally, but that's also like plenty of people want that, and if you want to do that, go for it. My main issue is that is how they're structuring the battle pass, or as they're called in the game, challenge cards. Basically, you don't buy a battle pass for the entire game, you buy battle passes for separate characters. And while that's great if you feel like you want to main a specific person, a la me, if I did want to dump more time into Avengers in the near future, like I almost exclusively only want to play as Miss Marvel, so I would definitely like try and do that, try and complete their challenge card for the cosmetic updates, or the credits towards cosmetic items that you get from them. But if you are wanting to like play as a bunch of different people, if you want to try and diversify the characters that you play as, or you just want to keep them up to date and have like really decked out heroes that you feel like that you like seeing in whenever you play, you're either going to have to commit a whole bunch of time or spend a decent amount of money, because I don't know, like having this tied to a single player or to a single character, like you're already like fragmenting this in a way that doesn't really speak to a lot of the messaging around the game, where like you're like trying out different heroes and they all have different play styles, so you might have different ones for different scenarios and that sort of thing, which honestly doesn't really ring too true in the actual gameplay, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But you're also asking people to commit like a lot of time in the games as a service mode, in the multiplayer mode, to get to that level. Like if you break it down like they do in the Kotaku piece that we're looking at here, you have daily quests and you have weekly quests that give you points towards your challenge card, but you can only earn a maximum of 64 points per week on any given character's challenge card, and you don't get to level 40 on that until you get 200 points. So they are forcing you. It's basically going to take you at least 4 weeks, at least a month, to get the one character that you want to main all the way up to the top of their challenge card. And that's just for one character. So like unless you're just completing all the quest challenges and stuff for every week for all the characters all at once, and dumping that much time into this game to do that, you're going to be like at least committing a few months to unlocking multiple characters, legendary levels,
Mm.
and getting the maximum amount of credits that you can to spend in the store on those cosmetic items. So like it feels like it's counterproductive to some of the messaging that has been around the marketing of the game. It's incredibly frustrating for people that want to play as multiple heroes. Um, I don't know, and I understand why they might be structuring it that way, just because like with it, with the multiplayer aspect having like exclusive player choice, where like if I choose Miss Marvel, no one else can play as Miss Marvel. Um, like that's that would cater well to someone who is singling out one hero to play as all the time. But it's just outside of that, like it's really like mind-boggling in some ways that they would structure it that way instead of giving you the flexibility of using those points on other character stuff, or like figuring out like how you want to spend a certain amount
Mm.
on certain things. It just feels counterproductive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, just none of it feels insidious, just bizarre and kind of just tacky, I think is kind of the word that best describes this to me. Is it feels gross that they're doing it, but not evil.
Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to make it evil and insidious, it could be done as loot boxes.
Yeah, I mean, at least, you're not guessing at what you're going to get. You know, if you put in this amount of effort this week, oh, I'm going to be up to the point where I can get this particular outfit. Or you can spend your $10 to $15 on a particular super emote thing, which I don't know who that person is that would want to do that, but I'm sure they're out there.
Oh, undoubtedly, and the fact this also speaks to like a sort of potentially flawed logic in extending playtime for this game, because whenever you boot the game up, the game suggests that you complete the single player campaign first,
Mm,
and before you go into the larger multiplayer world, which is really where you get to show off a lot of that cosmetic stuff.
yeah.
Whenever you're playing multiplayer and that sort of thing. So it wants you to play the campaign first, and then it's trying to extend the lifespan of player engagement by segmenting out these sort of things, which I get as a strategy for extending player engagement,
Mm.
but it's still just feels just I don't know. It might just be me. It might just be me. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel good, for lack of a better word.
Fair, fair. Um, but hey, while we're still on the Avengers, the reviews are in, and the reviews for the Avengers game are the most middling that you can possibly get. Even the people who like it aren't really giving it an A. Like you have a lot of B pluses and several Fs from even larger reviewers like VGC. Um, so yeah, it is very middling reviews.
Yeah, and this speaks like we were talking about before we went on the air, Trav. Like this speaks to a very very flawed marketing plan around this game,
Mm,
because as I said when we were talking about the beta last week, the campaign stuff, the story stuff in it, the single player element, it feels all right, and
mm,
the parts of the beta that I engaged with that played with that part of the game felt a whole lot better than the multiplayer stuff. Um, and that is borne out in a lot of the coverage of the game. Like a lot of people have been surprised with how great the single player element of the game is, um, because it. I think a lot of the praise has to go towards Kamala Khan,
mm,
Miss Marvel, being the de facto narrator and like main protagonist of the story. Um, because like you haven't that's one of the more endearing modern Marvel characters that hasn't really seen a ton of representation in the video game world so far. I think the only other game that she's been in to date, I think, at least on like consoles, was Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch. So it's really cool that how they wrote her. I know the huge like Avengers fanfic fan sort of thing is a little bit grating,
Mm.
um, to myself included. But there's a lot of heart to that character that honestly you don't find in a lot of the other characters in this game. But like it just she carries it in a lot of ways. She helps you move through the story fairly well. But no one knew about that, and the reason why so many people are writing about how surprisingly refreshing it is because they did not talk at all about that element of the game and the marketing around it
Mm.
from the moment that it was announced at E3 a couple of years ago. All we heard was the games as a service, all online multiplayer, like missions like with your friends, and play as the Avengers as your friends. They didn't even mention Miss Marvel at that first reveal. So like, and the fact that they have tailored so much of the coverage of this game towards a, if I may say so, subpar games as a service experience, as opposed, especially whenever you compare it to the single player, like it's immensely frustrating
Mm.
because like that 10 hours for the single player campaign, if you had taken that, expanded out maybe to 15, 16, and really like tried to craft that in a way that felt like more extensive and felt more had more a little bit more depth to it, as opposed to spending a lot of time and a lot of energy on a games as a service model that is meant to keep players engaged after they complete the best part of the game. I don't know. It makes me frustrated because you had something that you have something that works, but you chose not to highlight it at all.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much of that is, a management thing of we want to keep these people into our environment as long as possible to try to milk them for more money through longer engagement periods where they say, "Oh, cool, I want the Thor battle pass now, please," and keep going through our market. That this reeks to me of a game that was coming along pretty well, and then somebody in management said, "Well, yes, but what about the engagement hours?"
See, like you could still have that though.
Mm.
Like you could still there's still going to be a part of the audience for this game that engages with that side of it for a good amount of time, But if you are sacrificing arguably the best part of your game just so you can hype up this other part that does not deliver,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, does not deliver on what it's trying to promise you in a way that is satisfying at all. Like like, it doesn't matter how many cosmetic items you put out, you know.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating to see because like you could still have both parts of this game and have them if you had just like colored expectations around each of them
Mm-hmm.
in a way that actually feels like they deliver on what you talk about. Because right now you're having people talk about a campaign that is surprisingly good and a games as a service multiplayer system that is being compared to Anthem by more than just me.
Mm. Mm. That doesn't
Ooh.
make me feel warm at all. Though Anthem did ultimately get a fairly good install base because they dropped the price on it. So maybe they know what they're doing. I don't know. Either way, we're going to take a quick detour into the world of Tony Hawk since we're already on the reviews. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 has reviewed fairly well. It's not really a big surprise. They definitely took the world of Tony Hawk as it existed, made it way prettier, kept a lot of what you already know in, and basically, if you're here for Tony Hawk, as you loved and remembered it, it is all here with some nice rounded edges rather than the polygons and all of the jankiness. And let's be real, the original Tony Hawk, while a great game, had some jank to it, and that has been mostly pulled out of the new Tony Hawk Pro Skater release. So, yeah, if you played this way back in ye day, you know, this is a classic title at this point. This might be in there for you. Sounds good.
No, like this is an immensely better game than what we were just talking about, and it feels exactly like the old Tony Hawk games, honestly. This isn't just, it's 1 and 2 in terms of like the levels and the skaters that are in it, but with plenty of awesome additions that really round this out into a full on all around Tony Hawk Pro Skater experience. Like you have all of the additions of like the manuals and the reverts and the sticker slaps and all the different moves that were added in subsequent games after 2. You have a very good selection of modern skaters to go along with the classic skaters in there, including the series' first non-binary skater in Leo Baker. And it all you had to do was make this feel like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 played, and I think it would have done a lot better considering the severe lack of good Tony Hawk games that have, or at least Tony Hawk remakes that have come out in the past 5 to 7 years. And this knocks it out of the park. Like Vicarious Visions did it, and it makes me want to see them tackle an actual Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6. Now, the questions about that are all centered on the license.
Yeah.
And where that goes from here, but I would definitely be into a Vicarious Visions Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6 after this.
Yeah, I mean, just going over what Vicarious Visions did previously, they have a pretty good history and hell have worked on Tony Hawk games, granted for the Game Boy, but still, they have a fairly robust history of making decent stuff. Most recently, they've been known for Skylanders, but previously to this, they did the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy remaster, and that remaster is beloved. It is maybe one of the best remasters to have been put out that didn't have any significant changes to the original formula. So, yeah, if they want to make more Tony Hawk, fucking have that. From what I understand, granted, I have not played it yet. I'm not getting my copy apparently till next Monday, so I won't even be able to talk about it on the next show. But, hey, I'll have it, and I'll eventually be able to talk about it, and I can let you know if 14-year-old Travis is pleased by it or not.
This is a series I always wanted to get into and just never had the opportunity.
Definitely recommend giving it a go. I don't know how hard it would be for you to find a copy of it. I believe you have a PlayStation 4?
I do.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, if you can find a copy to borrow, I'd recommend spending some time with it. It's a great game. Josh Komar, friend of the show, has been just talking about how magnificent he finds it. So, and I definitely respect his opinion a lot. So, I'm for it. And hey, speaking of Marvel and Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Marvel's Avengers, as far as at least the UK, the UK is one of the only places that really puts out the numbers publicly on major sales, whereas most countries you're not required to. So we can at least get an eyeball of that there. So Avengers has apparently done fairly well for itself, at least by the sales numbers that we can know. It's done at least better than Tomb Raider, which is good for uh, Crystal Dynamics. Tony Hawk Pro Skater followed it by a fair bit. And then behind that was NBA 2K21, one of the perennial bestsellers. NBA 2K is always going to be one of the top sellers of the year. So both of these products beating out NBA 2K speaks well for the sales of it. I kind of wish Tony Hawk got a little bit higher. I think it deserves more, but I recognize that is the old in me because I was, there back when we actually traded skate tapes and all that shit. When you actually watched the X Games and gave a shit about it. But still, it's good numbers for oddly the game that has been kind of shit upon on the internet. It's doing fine, so apparently our feelings don't actually change a whole lot for sales numbers.
I'm personally just really happy to see yet another sports game that usually does just dominate everything.
Mm.
I'm really happy seeing it dethroned.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, NBA 2K eventually was going to drop a little bit, but yeah, it's going to stay there. NBA 2K tends to continue to stay on a high trend. That and, FIFA, as far as worldwide, will continue to have a high ranking place and will usually stay within the top 5, whereas other games tend to peak on release and then floop down.
Although, if you want to talk about a game that has a poorly structured microtransaction system, shout out NBA 2K21.
Woo!
Garbage.
Absolute shit show. But hey, you know what's not a shit show? Our 7th inning stretch. It is time for the Blaze Ball Minute with Brian Wonderboy here to tell you more about Blaze Ball and how great a job the commissioner is doing. Oh, hey, look, there's also an article here by somebody over on outsports.com that people should go read.
Yeah, totally read it. It's a fun. It was honestly, it was really fun to write. I got the chance to speak to a couple of the minds behind Blaseball over at the Game Band, the studio developing it. Sam Rosenthal and Felix Kramer. And yeah, it's all about the community that sprung up around the game and how like queer it is and how inclusive it is and just how it's just been awesome to watch. Now, granted, this article came out before season 5 concluded, so we will get to season 5 in just a second. But yes, I will plug my Outsports story. It's a great read. A lot of links to different lore events in there as well. So if you want to get caught up on some base level lore in the game as well, it's in there for you to click out and read. And probably some articles that are even longer than what I put out there in terms of explaining some of this lore stuff, along with a lot of great artwork from great artwork from a number of outstanding artists that have been contributing to the fan art scene in the Blaseball world. So, with that said, let's get to our recap of season 5. Season 6 is currently underway, and there have been some changes. Holy crap! So season 5 ended Saturday with the first ever champion of the Internet League Blaseball that was not from the chaotic good division, that being the Chicago Firefighters. They toppled the Breckenridge Jazz Hands in a 5-game series that was thrilling to say the least, including a Game 4 win where Declan Suzanne for the Firefighters drove in the winning run of the game after swallowing a stray peanut and having a allergic reaction to it.
Good for her for making it through that.
Yes, so Declan Suzanne did that. The firefighters won. I will say congratulations, Lindsay. Your Canada Moist Talkers did make it to the Final Four this
Mhm.
go around. Unfortunately, did not make it to the series, but stellar job of the three teams that we represent on the show. Your team clearly doing the better job. But it's
Not
okay
gonna
because
say anything good about the Wild Wings.
it's all right. But there was some other history made during season 5 because the Unlimited Tacos became the fastest team to ever reach party time, which is basically whenever you get eliminated from playoff contention
Mm.
in league history. They also set a record for the most losses in a season. En route to doing that, they lost 72 games, 72 out of 99 games.
Go
You know what?
Tacos!
Yes. Um, so that was a decent recap of
Yeah.
season 5 there. Although, one more thing I do want to point out. I believe there was, I want to say game 4 where Declan got that winning run after swallowing a straight peanut. Was a 23 inning game, making it the longest game in ILB history.
I
So
missed
a
that
lot
one.
of records set all around. And then, of course, the election happened.
Oh, this week is a weird. I don't like it, and I'll tell you why after you describe it.
Yes. So the election basically enacted the high filter decree, which dumped all of the ILB teams into the bloodbath, into the tub, and they all reemerged in different renamed divisions. So now instead of the lawful and chaotic conferences or leagues, we have the wild and mild, and all teams were basically readjusted into divisions coinciding with their performance over the past seasons. So
Mhm.
like all of the best teams, like 5 of the playoff teams from last year, are all in the same division now, the Wild High, while the Wild Low has the 5 worst teams, including my Miami Dale. So
Oh.
it's okay though because that it just evens stuff out. Also, reverb took effect last season, which would, similar to how feedback would randomly switch players from teams that were facing each other. Reverb switched players from their positions. So like you had hitters moving to pitching, pitchers moving to hitting, as well as some mix up on stats as well,
Mhm.
coinciding with that. So a lot of shakeups on a lot of teams came from that. And then, of course, the high filter also introduced um, new a new permanent like enhancements on each team that we don't really know how they're gonna affect right now because matters at the end of the season. But there's a chance where like stars could be given away from teams to other teams within divisions, or then be taken away and that sort of thing. And it also introduced the concept of idols to the game. So up until this point, the only way to earn coins was if your chosen favorite team won games, or by betting coins on the outcome of games.
Mm.
Now with the idol system, you choose a player from any team. Doesn't have to be the team that you chose as your favorite one, but a player from any team. And once you choose your idol, you can buy new products in the shop called the home run pendant, the hits pendant, the strikeout pendant, or the shutout pendant,
So put
depending
all
on
of
if
your money into Jessica Telephone.
that she is currently the number one the most idolized player in ILB. So, but basically, whenever you buy those things, you get coins whenever your chosen idol gets a hit or a home run or a strikeout or throws a shutout. So it's just another way of earning coins. I think right now, if I let me see if I can pull up the current listing of idols where we're at. So right now, Jessica Telephone is number 1.
Mm.
Nagomi McDaniel, for the Breakers Jazz Hands, is number 2, and Axel Troy Lolo, probably add too many lulls in there, for the Baltimore Crabs. They're the top 3. But basically, it just adds another element of earning coins to be bet in games and to purchase votes for the election, which currently the decree is available for this go around. Only one will go into effect. either hot sauce, which makes a random player on each team spicy.
Mhm.
No one knows what the fuck that means yet, but I'm sure if that goes into effect, we'll find out. Enhanced party time, where when a team goes into party time, they'll have a chance of receiving random permanent stat boosts during their remaining games in the regular season. And then also one called New Kids, where every team has their least idolized player incinerated. Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Yes, so that's all going to unfold over the next week here in the world of baseball, and I will close this out with the current standings as they are right now. Division leaders are the Wild High in the Wild High division, the Baltimore Crabs, the Wild Low, the Hellmouth Sunbeams, the Mild High, the Seattle Garages, although they are tied with the Dallas Stakes right now for the division lead there. Um, and of course, the Mild Low, you have the Philly Pies leading there. So.
I just first want to recognize the number of characters that have been idolized that must be purely because of their names. For instance, you have at number 5 Randall Marijuana of the Hellmouth Sunbeams.
Yes.
Number 7, you have Not a Number from Unlimited Tacos.
Yep.
Number 10, Mike Townsend from the Seattle Garages.
Mike Townsend, the most derided player that any fan base has on their own team. Seattle Garages fans hate Mike Townsend.
Number 11, Blood Hamburger.
Yo, Blood Hamburger's legit.
Oh, bless some of these names. And number 19, Peanut Bong of the Miami Dale.
Which surprises me because he is the worst pitcher on that team.
But his name is Peanut Bong.
It is. It used to be Daniel Bong, or Dan Bong, but then whenever the Peanuts came, it changed all of the names that had Dan in it to Peanut.
Makes sense. Now, here's what annoys me. And I'm sorry to override you, but my fury must be known. You put the Wild Wings in the Mild Low standing. No, sir, I will not have my Wild Wings being called mild or low. If anything, they deserve to be mild high. Thank you very much.
Yo, I didn't make it, but
You wrote an article on it. I am blaming you directly.
well, all right. Look at it this way. At least we know that one of the top 5 teams will not make it. From last year will not make it into the playoffs. Looking straight at the New York Millennials. I hope you don't.
But regardless, the commissioner is doing a great job.
The commissioner's always doing a great job. And this is all in jest. Like, I have rivalries with teams like anybody else does. But at the end of the day, it's all fun. And everybody's congratulatory of everybody. So, yeah, it's fun.
I'm sorry, Merwin. I ran over you. What did you want to say?
Good. I had seen a player name and it just made me smile so much. It was like our number 14 on the idols list. Oliver, not a robot.
He's totally not a robot.
Absolutely not a robot. And that has been your 7th inning stretch from Blazeball. Back to your news.
Wait. Before we move on, I had one more thing with the idols. I find it criminal that Randall Marijuana is at number 5, but yet Dominic Marijuana is not in the top 20. Come on. Objectively a better player.
Absolutely. So, the continuing battle of Apple versus Epic. Google has stepped in to say, hey, we don't feel like we should be involved in this, since our App Store is so completely different from the way iOS runs, that basically they have asked to just get themselves out of this because it is a mess. Even if Google does have reason to be slightly peeved, let's say, with Apple over the whole getting rid of Stadia thing, I also don't think at this point they are too worried about that. Just from my feels of how Stadia has gone recently. while I'm thinking about Stadia, I'm going to look up what the current giveaways are. Go ahead, Brian.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, I get why they want to keep this separate because you don't want to be lumped into what is essentially probably the more knockdown, drag out legal fight
Mm.
with Epic and Apple there. At the same time, though, there are a lot of similarities in the case, and I don't know how much of a footing that Google has to stand on saying that there aren't a ton of similarities. I don't know. This is. I haven't had a ton of time to dissect all of this. I'll be frank. So I could be speaking out of my ass.
Mm.
So I don't know. Um, in a lot of ways, like these two cases should be treated separately. Um, at the same time, though, it would probably behoove Epic to have both of these cases kind of tied together in the way that they are, because you can. That's a good way of passing similar arguments that they have for their fight with Apple over to the fight with Google, even though there are some like differing um, characteristics there, especially when it comes to how Google has responded or not responded compared to Apple in this whole situation. So I don't know. This is one of those things where like we just have to wait and see how it plays out, but it's not a bad move on Google's part. I just don't know. None of us will really know if it actually works out for them.
Yeah, I don't see Google getting dropped from this because, yeah, you can sideload it, but also it is a pain in the ass to sideload onto an Android. It's very much doable, which is why I prefer the Google ecosystem, but it's still, even when like I was dealing with the Amazon sideloader, it still felt oddly sketchy for something that is a legitimate product. By the way, your Stadia Pro free games for this month: Hitman the complete first season, Metro Last Light Redux, and Super Bomberman R Online. So, just in case you were,
God,
worried about getting what you could have been missing from your Stadia,
why
there you
would
go.
anyone think that Super Bomberman R would be a title that you want to? Like that's just not a good game. Anyway,
With the whole uh, Epic versus Apple versus the world, um, Epic is also now they're they're wanting this to get dealt with like now because they're
Mm.
reporting a 60% drop on their iOS player base.
Yeah, you can't get the game anymore. You can't put out new updates. So, yeah, of course, your players are going to slowly diminish. That only makes sense.
hmm,
But hey, um, boy, 2020 is a weird year, and a weird year to publish a video game in, which makes it all the more interesting that school is officially closed as far as Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 are concerned, due to the coronavirus. Your days are being rescheduled, and your parents had better come pick up your stuff from your college campus. The schools are all closed. We will be returning at some point in the future to the schools. Just such a bizarre thing to put into, from your 90s video game. Let's put some reminders of the real world in there. Why not?
Yeah, because when I'm doing a nostalgia trip, the last, or like the first thing I want to be reminded of is now.
Reverse parade this Tuesday. Families can drive by and say thank you and goodbye to your teachers before summer break.
hmm. I mean, I really like this personally, just because it's a subtle way to highlight that we're still dealing with this and that we should be paying attention to it, and
Mm.
especially when it comes to a lot of the discussion and policy that has gone on around how to handle schooling for
Mm.
children in this whole thing. So I'm I'm all for it. It doesn't necessarily like I understand like a lot of people might not necessarily want to be reminded of COVID whenever they're going back to play this, but it was a nice way to address it and to put some awareness out there. So
Yeah, I'm certainly not against it. It's just so strange. And it just so speaks to how this year is going. That Tony Hawk Pro Skater is going to be telling you all about your COVIDs and what's going on in the world right now. So, hey, there you go. Welcome to 2020. And our last story of the day, hey, we were talking about limited time things. Twitch Sings, a oddly beloved thing for them to be shutting down, but still, I guess I understand. Twitch Sings will officially be retired as of January 1st, 2020. So apparently they are going to invest into broader tools and music services for Twitch in the following years. I'm going to guess, if I had to put that up to myself, that the licensing fees for this particular version were larger than they may have anticipated. And contractual obligations starting December 1st of this year, videos and clips of the Twitch featuring Twitch streams will be removed. So if you have a VOD up of you doing the Twitch things, it will be removed as of December 1st. And all of this is slowly going to go away. So if you want to celebrate Twitch Sings and all of the interesting things it has brought to the community, now is your time.
this is I understand why they're pulling the game. It's frustrating because it really feels like just another thing you can add onto the pile of copyright issues that have surrounded you know Twitch users and that sort of thing, and how to better implement that licensed music and stuff like that into these things. I don't know if they're saying they're working on different stuff. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Personally, that being said, the DMCA claims have been very very zealous
Yes.
on Twitch, which is it's frustrating because there are a lot of games that use licensed music that some players can't control necessarily whenever it's played, and that could really mess up someone's ecosystem. I don't know if Twitch has really done anything to address that specific issue when it comes to these takedowns. I mean, maybe you and Lindsay could speak more to that. Y'all have a better understanding of Twitch operations.
I can definitely say that Twitch does not care. If it's licensed music in a game, you still get struck.
Yeah, it's if the licensee has made a complaint, Twitch is very much going to go out against your ass. So I actually noticed in Control, while I was messing around with the options, one of them was to not play licensed music. And I'm guessing games are going to do that more as the years go by. So, boy, I remember the days when streamers would just play whatever the fuck on the background while they were playing, and it is a different ecosystem now than it was 2-3 years ago, for damn sure.
Yeah. Now, speaking to that option being in Control for turning off licensed music, what does that say about games that are better, are known for their soundtracks? We were talking about Tony Hawk a little while ago. One of the main things that people have been talking about with that re-release outside of the game is its
music.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's a seminal part of that franchise, and you don't really have a Tony Hawk game without the soundtrack, and it's all licensed music.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if people that are trying to stream Tony Hawk are being hit with similar claims, and really poses a question to developers as we continue into the next generation of consoles, of whether you can really have a curated soundtrack like that going forward. I mean, what does that do to, like? I wonder how they handle this with GTA.
Mm.
You know, with the radio stations in GTA, if players have experienced DMCA situations, um, based off of streaming that game.
Yeah,
You know,
music is such a huge part of Grand Theft Auto. Like, getting rid of it would just kill it.
Well, like with GTA, I mean, you can turn off the radio.
Mm.
So I think they're expecting people to do that. But yeah, some of the DMCA claims have been just right stupid. Like, there's a game out there called The Long Dark,
Mhm.
and the intro is set to this gorgeous, awesome song that really sets the theme for the game. You'll get copyright strike for that.
Yeah, and man, if you're gonna play like some Crazy Taxi, of course playing the Dreamcast version, not the Steam version, nobody can play the Steam version because they have the wrong soundtrack. Regardless, if you're playing that, you're going to get a slap because the music is just there, and so either it is turn off your volume altogether, which kind of defeats the point of playing Crazy Taxi. And boy, Crazy Taxi is one of the most beloved retro games that exist. So getting that entirely out of your ecosystem sucks. But hey, that's where we are with copyright music claim. I mean, despite the fact that I can literally listen to copyright music on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora. God, there's so many places for me to go and just listen to your music. Sometimes for free. Yes, of course, with some advertisements mixed in there, but how much money is each song actually making off of those advertisements? There's got to be a system that works better than this. Rather than doing a DMCA takedown, maybe, giving a small part of the revenue from that particular stream to, not like the donations, but, your advertisement money that comes in during the stream. Give that to the marketers. Something, I don't know, there's gotta be a way through this because so much of games are tied to the music and a lot of soundtracks are tied with music that is copyrightable. So it kills a lot of especially the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era of gaming. Your Dreamcast games, your original Xbox games. God, especially anything that's related to X Games related stuff. Your Dave Mirra, your Tony Hawk, what have you. That was a ramble.
I think Amazon could even, foot the bill to, pay these artists when their songs are featured in games. Because, I mean, it's not like they're going broke.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos could directly pay for all of these songs and still have billions and billions and billions of dollars. So there you go. But hey, we can't go out on a downer like this. No. This Labor Day, we have to have something to finish you off with. And of course, we cannot end this Mr. Video Game show without bringing to you the winner of the Mr. Video Game Award. Of course, you've all been sitting here waiting for it. Who is going to win Mr. Video Games? Such a coveted title. Here, on Monday, September the 7th, 2020, we are giving the award for the person, place, thing that has done something so amazing, so stupid, what have you, that you can only look at it and go, that is video games. And we are one-upping Mr. Video Games last week. A watermelon that plays video games? Old news! Who cares about that anymore? Today's Mr. Video Game belongs to Foon Turing. Who is that, you ask? The man that put Doom on a pregnancy test. That's right, the question of will it play Doom is finally answered. He had to do a lot of modifications, but this is a pregnancy test that plays Doom.
Which is really fitting depending on where you're in your life.
You're not wrong. This is not the first time that Doom has been spelled out upon a pregnancy test, but here we are. You can connect your wireless keyboard to the pregnancy test that has been modified, of course, with a a 128 by 32 pixel monochrome display. So that is there. It is certainly a thing you could play. It is not the best way to play Doom. As you can see from him running it, you can kind of make out what the hell you're doing. But still, it's a pregnancy test that plays Doom. What world are we in?
I mean, I thought I had seen it all by way of can it run Doom when I saw somebody load it up on a thermostat. But this is just, it's beyond all things.
This man, he put a video of Skyrim on one of these, and just, oh, yeah, there's the Skyrim video, right there. That's.
But the question is, can it run Crysis?
I don't think I've seen Crysis out of Mr. Foon here. Obviously, we've seen Doom. He put Rick Astley on it, so that's there. But you can follow him on Twitter, Mr. Foon here. Apparently, he is still trying out different things. Oh, look, he's put the dancing baby on it. How adorable!
How fitting.
Great. Damn it.
Oh, God bless weird people putting weird shit into weird places. Who would have thought you could play Doom on a pregnancy test, but here we are.
Okay, so my big question is, and I don't know if he's ever explained this, why? Like, what made him look at a digital pregnancy test and go, I could run Doom on that?
Madam, you're asking why. The real question is, why not?
Fair point.
When the United States looked up and said, why should we go to the moon? We said, why not? When Mr. Foon looked at a pregnancy test and say, hey, why am I not playing Skyrim? Why not? Happy 2020, everybody.
Agreed.
Hmm.
I'm just. What even is this?
I've lost it.
I love Twitter. I absolutely love Twitter.
Oh, this has been Mr. Video Games for September the 7th, 2020. Your Labor Day, of course. Remember to join us tomorrow. Myself, Brian, and Lady Merowyn here will all be playing some Fall Guys for you guys. One more series of matches to see if we can bring home some more of those glorious crowns. Get some more dubs for Mr. Video Games. Of course, I have been Slacker Kite. Follow us on all the links in the Twitch description. You've got our Discord. You've got all of our tweeters. We love talking to you guys. And of course, thank you, Kelverin, Giant Pie, all of our listeners that did not speak up this evening, we love you too. We love our lurkers. You are great people out there. Brian, do you have any final words for us this evening?
Oh, Lord. Well, I'll reiterate, love the lurkers. No, just I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what the next week brings. And you can catch whatever that week brings. From me at least over at outsports.com, as well as on Twitter at WonderboyOTM. Also, I have my queer wrestling podcast that goes up every Thursday, LGBT in the Ring. You can follow that on Twitter at LGBT Ring Pod as well, and you can find the show. Just search Outsports on your podcast service of choice. And I guess I will just wrap all that up by saying, wash your hands and buy a pregnancy test so that you can play Doom.
Lady Marilyn, any final words this evening?
So I wanted to say thank you for the folk that came out last night. That was a stellar stream. It was incredible. I spazzed so hard. I'm going to be back on that on this coming Sunday. If there are going to be any bonus streams, be sure to follow me on Twitter and or Discord. Take your pick. And then let's see if I can get through this in one breath. Sorry, it would help if I wasn't dying. Don't forget to love each other from a socially appropriate distance. Wash your damn hands. Be the change you want to see in the world. And just be cool.
Brian, did I ask you for final words tonight? I don't remember anymore. My brain is mush. All right.
It's okay. We're all mush. We all are mush. Our bodies are mush.
Doom killed me. All right. Thank you, everyone, of course, for coming. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow.
Bye.